Hi there, this is Sarah White from ourdailycraft.com, and today I want to show you how to make air dry clay. Making your own air dry clay is super simple. It only takes 3 ingredients and a few minutes of time. We've started just a tiny bit already in progress just because it takes a minute to get it started. But the recipe that I like to use is just cornstarch, baking soda, and water. And you use twice as much baking soda as you do cornstarch. So here I've got a cup of baking soda, a half a cup of cornstarch, and then you just need enough water to make it into a dough. So I use 3/4 of a cup of water. That can vary, I guess, depending on how humid it is where you live, or maybe how old your ingredients are. And I'm using a pot that I use for non-food things, but if you don't already have a pot that you use for such purposes, it's probably fine because, I mean, cornstarch and baking soda are edible, right? I have this on medium heat, and I'm stirring rather constantly, just because it's going to start to bubble up. And it looks like nothing's happening for a little while, except that there's something weird and black floating in my stuff, but we'll get that later. But once it starts coming together, it comes together pretty fast. So we're just going to keep working on it. There are lots of uses for air dry clay that you might want to do at home. You can make, the classic Christmas decorations with your cookie cutters. Cut out shapes and paint them and use them as Christmas decorations. You can make ghosts. For Halloween, there's a post on my blog about that. You can do pinch pots as a classic thing to do with air dry clay. That's great for kids to do as a sort of introduction to using clay. You can just work with it like a Play-Doh and just make whatever you want. And it usually takes a day or so to dry, depending on the thickness of your project and again, how humid it is where you live and those sorts of things. You can start to see it coming together. Maybe you can't see it, but I can feel it getting thicker. And it's foamed up quite a bit, and it's trying to stick to the sides. I may turn it down just a teensy bit because it is trying to stick a little bit. I just got this pot from like the dollar store, so if you do a lot of things like making Play-Dohs and air dried clays and things that you don't necessarily want to use your cooking utensils and pots and pans for, that's a good way to get a just for this purpose kind of pot. Here we go. Now you can see it, I bet. It's starting to come into it's thick and pasty. And as we're just going to go just a tiny bit more until it looks sort of mostly dry and pulled together. And I think that is just about right. Sort of a consistency of like mashed potatoes. And then we're going to take this over, let it cool, and roll it out a bit, and then we can use it to make whatever we want. And that is how you make your own air dry clay at home.